Right, strap yourselves in for this one because we're going deep with Stefan Pinkwart.
Mm.
And, well, let's just say the man doesn't mince words.
No, he doesn't. We're talking about a guy who casually drops, "If I die tomorrow, it wouldn't be a problem," in the middle of a Karam game.
Talk about a conversation starter, right? I mean, who says that? It's certainly attention-grabbing, but is it just shock value or is there something more to it?
It's bold, for sure, and it makes you wonder about his mindset. Is he being nihilistic? Or reckless? Or has he lived so fully that he's genuinely okay with the idea of dying?
That's what I find so interesting. He compares himself to a friend who seems successful on paper but feels empty inside. It's like Pinkwart is saying that just checking things off a list isn't the same as really living.
Exactly. He uses this metaphor, the second life in the trunk, to illustrate this. It's like we all have this hidden compartment filled with dreams and desires, but we're too scared to open it up.
Okay, I get the metaphor.
Mm.
But what does it mean for us, the listeners? Are we all destined to live with this metaphorical trunk full of unrealized potential?
Not necessarily. Pinkwart is challenging us to look at our own lives and ask ourselves, what's in our trunk? What are we putting off? And why? Are we letting fear hold us back? Or practicality? Or societal expectations? Even if they leave us feeling unfulfilled.
That's a tough question. I know I've got a few things in my own trunk that I've been avoiding. But Pinkwart doesn't just drop this bomb and walk away. He actually offers some pretty concrete advice on how to live more fully and authentically, especially through writing.
Right. He says that impactful writing comes from a place of vulnerability and honesty, from being willing to unleash hell on the page and throw your heart on the floor. It's not about playing it safe or trying to please everyone. It's about expressing your truth, even if it makes people uncomfortable.
Okay, I can see how that applies to writing. But what about the rest of our lives?
Hmm.
How do we translate that unleash hell mentality into our everyday actions? Should we all quit our jobs and run off to join the circus?
Whoa, 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 hold on. Let's not get carried away. Pinkwart isn't advocating for recklessness or impulsive decisions. It's more about being intentional with our choices, making sure our actions align with our values, and not being afraid to pursue the things that truly matter to us, even if they're unconventional or challenging.
So it's more about figuring out what's truly important to us and then having the courage to go after it, even if it means facing some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the lives we've built.
Exactly. And that's where the connection between living and writing comes in. Pinkwart believes that by being vulnerable and honest in our writing, we can start to break down those barriers in other areas of our lives too. It's like
Yeah.
writing becomes a practice ground for living more authentically.
Interesting. But Pinkwart doesn't stop there. He actually lays out some specific techniques for achieving this kind of raw, powerful writing. And some of them are pretty out there, like the last will trick and the shame barrier. I have to admit, I'm a little curious, but also a little apprehensive about where this is going.
Yeah, let's dive into those. The last will trick. It's all about writing as if you're leaving a final message. It forces you to confront your own mortality. You know, what do I want to be remembered for? What truths do I want to leave behind?
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, it really cuts to the chase. Makes you think about what really matters, what kind of legacy you want to leave with your words. But the shame barrier, that one sounds a bit more intense.
It is intense, and it definitely requires a delicate touch. Pinckwart's argument is that sometimes the most powerful writing comes from those dark, uncomfortable places inside us. It's about confronting the things we're ashamed of, the things we try to hide, and finding a way to express them honestly and in a way that's cathartic.
Okay, I get that vulnerability can be powerful, but isn't there a risk of being too honest? Especially in a public setting like Poetry Slam, where's the line between being authentic and potentially hurting yourself or others?
That's a valid point and something to be aware of. It's not about exploiting trauma or intentionally causing harm. It's more about finding those universal truths within our personal experiences, things that resonate with others without being too graphic or crossing anyone's boundaries. It's a delicate balance, for sure.
But it sounds like the shame barrier is more about digging deep into our own emotions and finding the courage to share those raw, vulnerable parts of ourselves in a way that's both authentic and responsible.
Exactly. And then you have the rage hack, which might seem a bit counterintuitive at first. Why tap into anger when we're trying to create something meaningful and artistic?
Yeah, that one threw me off too. Isn't anger usually seen as a destructive force? How can we use that energy creatively without letting it take over?
Pinkwart's point is that anger, like any emotion, can be a powerful motivator. It can fuel our passion, give our words a sense of urgency, even inspire us to challenge injustice. The key, he says, is to control and direct that anger, channeling it into something constructive instead of letting it become destructive.
So it's about using that raw emotional energy to fuel our creative fire,
Yeah.
but always maintaining control and intentionality.
Exactly. And he connects this back to poetry slam specifically. He says that when you're on stage, you have the power to stop time for everyone in the room. It's about using your words, your voice, your presence to create a truly captivating and transformative experience for the audience.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these techniques, from the last will trick to the rage hack, are ultimately about pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, about tapping into those raw, visceral emotions that we often bury deep down.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, finding beauty and meaning even in the darkest corners of our emotional landscape, and using that to create something that truly connects with other people.
It's a tall order. But I have to say, there's something really exciting about the idea of using writing as a tool for self-discovery and personal growth, and then sharing that journey with the world through a powerful art form like poetry slam.
And Pinkworth doesn't just leave us with these lofty ideals and abstract techniques. He actually gives some practical advice on how to put these concepts into practice, how to hone our craft and deliver a performance that really packs a punch.
Like what? Give us the inside scoop. What kind of tips does he have for actually bringing these ideas to life on stage?
He talks about using silence strategically, building tension, creating moments of surprise.
It's like he's approaching poetry slam almost like a theatrical performance, almost like a one-person play, where every word, every pause, every gesture, it all contributes to the overall impact.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about reciting words on a page. It's about embodying those words, making them come alive for the audience.
So it's this combination of powerful writing and dynamic delivery.
Exactly. And he really emphasizes connecting with the audience on an emotional level, making them feel something, not just think about it.
So how do we do that? How do we make people feel something with our words? It all sounds kind of mystical.
Well, Pinkwart would probably say it's about tapping into those universal human experiences. The things we all share: love, loss, fear, joy. He believes that if you can express those emotions authentically, the audience will connect with you on a much deeper level.
This is about finding that common ground, that shared humanity that makes us all relatable.
Exactly right. And he brings it back to that idea of living a life worth writing about. He argues that the more deeply we experience life, the more we have to draw from in our writing.
So it's a cycle, right?
Yeah.
We live deeply, we write boldly, and that in turn inspires us to live even more fully. It's like a feedback loop of authenticity.
Precisely. And it takes us back to that very first statement Pinkwart made. If I die tomorrow, it wouldn't be a problem. Maybe he's not being morbid or flippant. Maybe he's just reached a point where he's so fully embraced life that he's genuinely okay with the idea of his own mortality.
Wow. That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that if we live each day to the fullest, if we really squeeze every drop of experience out of life, then death becomes less of a threat.
Exactly. And ending with the carom game and his friend's reaction, it really highlights that contrast between a life lived on the surface and one that goes deep.
It's like Pinkwart is holding up a mirror to us
Yeah.
and asking, are you really living? Or are you just going through the motions?
Challenging question, but a necessary one. I think Pinkwart is urging us to be more intentional with our lives, to make choices that align with our values, and to express ourselves authentically through our words and actions.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling both inspired and a little terrified. Inspired to embrace life more fully, and terrified of all the potential I might be wasting.
That's the beauty of Pinkwart's work. He challenges us to confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves and to step outside of our comfort zones, to live more authentically.
And for anyone who wants to explore these ideas further, we highly recommend checking out Pinkwart's book, Poetry Master Poesycraft in 7 Taken. It's full of practical tips and thought-provoking exercises to help you unleash your inner wordsmith and create a life that's as bold and impactful as your writing.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep using your words to create a world that's a little brighter, a little bolder, and a whole lot more meaningful world.